Greetings. Today we will visit the Schroeder Saddletree Museum in Madison, Indiana. Before getting started, I would encourage you to subscribe to the Mossy Feet Books YouTube channel for more great content. I also entreat you to visit my website, www.mossyfeetbooks. There you will find sample chapters, podcasts, a slew of content, and links to where you can buy my books. While visiting the website, you can subscribe to it and receive email notifications when I publish a new book or other content like this video and podcast. This video is based on my book, Southeast Indiana Road Trips. John Benedict Schroeder lived from February the 2nd, 1844, until October the 19th, 1909. Native to Prussia, John immigrated to the United States and moved into Madison sometime after 1870. He purchased a house and tract of land in Madison, Indiana on Milton Street on the banks of Crooked Creek. Schroeder established a saddletree factory in the house, where he operated until after his marriage to Elizabeth Backus in 1882. A brick building that adjoined the house he renovated into a saddletree factory after their marriage. He and Elizabeth would have 8 children in the home. Ben Schroeder would pass away on October the 19th, 1909. His remains are interred at St. Joseph Cemetery in Madison. The purpose of the saddletree is to distribute the weight of the rider over a larger area of the horse's back. Constructed of saddletrees was a highly skilled craft. The tree had to fit the horse properly to prevent blistering. 2 curved forks straddle the horse's backbone to connect the sidebars of the saddletree. The front fork includes a notch to hold the saddle horn, which is used to tie ropes while lassoing cattle. The back fork has a seat rest that secures the rider in place. The apparatus must be sturdy enough to support the many activities that a rider will perform while riding a horse. It must also support a rider and horse for long periods of time. The Schroeders built over 250 different types of saddle trees in the factory. However, they did not construct the finished saddle. Saddle makers purchased the saddle trees to cut the blocks of wood they needed to construct the saddle trees. The rest of the factory, saddle makers purchased the saddle trees to make the leather saddles. Traders owned a woodlot from which they cut most of the wood used to make their saddle trees. The factory included a wood yard to store the cut logs and a sawmill that they used to cut the blocks of wood that they needed to construct the saddle trees. The rest of the factory contains various saws, shapers, and other equipment needed to construct the saddle trees. After the Great Depression in the 1930s, the market for saddle trees collapsed. At that time, they converted the factory over to make wooden clothespins. The factory operated until Ben Schroeder's last remaining son, Joseph, died in 1974. Joseph had the foresight to will the property to the historic Madison organization upon his death. Thus, the factory remains intact. Much of the machinery still runs, and qualified museum staff operate it on occasion during tours. Visitors may park in the gravel parking area just off the street. The office is located in the residence to the right. The entrance has a handicap access ramp as well as steps. A knowledgeable tour guide will take you through the grounds, which includes the residence, the sawmill, factory, boiler room, finishing room, and blacksmith shop. Allow about an hour to visit the museum. The Ben Schroeder Saddletree Museum is located on 106 Milton Street, Madison, Indiana. The Historic Madison organization owns and operates the property. The organization was founded in 1960 by Mr. and Mrs. John T. Wendell. Historic Madison has played an important role in the preservation of many of historic Madison's buildings. The city has approximately 1,500 historic structures, including homes, businesses, industrial sites. Historic Madison owns 15 properties in and around Madison, 4 of which they have open for the public to visit on weekends from April through October. Several of the other sites are open for private tours and special events. The Talbot Hyatt Garden at the corner of 2nd and Poplar Street is open from dusk to dawn daily. The properties include the Costigan House, which is open to the public. Actually, the next 3 are also open. The Dr. Hutchings Hospital, Jeremiah Sullivan House, and the Talbot Talbot Hyatt Garden. The Schroeder Saddletree Museum factory is open also. Open by appointment, the John T. Wendell Memorial Auditorium, the St. Michael the Archangel Church, AME, or the African Methodist Church, open by appointment. Shrewsbury Wendell House is open by appointment. The Lutheran College is open by appointment, and they have special events out there from time to time as well. Historic Madison is the website is HISTORICMADISONINC.com. The Saddletree was the nation's longest lasting, continually operated family-owned saddletree factory in the United States. This episode is based upon my book, Southeast Indiana Road Trips, available on the website www.mossyfeet.com. The book is the first book in the 9-volume Indiana Road Trip series. The books include information about parks, museums, historic sites, and many other day trip destinations across the state. I encourage you to visit the website and subscribe to it. You can find my books locally at the Walnut Street Variety Shop in Batesville, Indiana. I hope you enjoyed this podcast.